Good morning, everyone. My name is Shivani, your current affair teacher, and this is a beautiful morning to start with today's current affair. So, first of all, appreciate yourself that you are again here in this morning. You didn't give up. Whatever negative thoughts were coming, you fought with them, and you are standing here in front of me reading these kind of current affairs. So, appreciate yourself for that. Now, let's move to our first current affair, what it is saying, and how it is, going to be linked with UPSC syllabus. Now, why has NGT cleared the Nicobar project? So I have covered classes for that. What is NGT project? What basically NGT is saying, what this Nicobar project is, right? Why we are moving forward with this. So now we are going to understand that what are the reasons that NGT cleared the Nicobar project, that we are going to understand today. So just to go you through like with the concept and the basic things of this Nicobar project. So it's a remote island that is known as Great Nicobar, right? And it's in the Indian Oceans. So it was full of dense forest, right? Rare animals are living there, tribal communities, living peacefully. And now the government is finally saying that, this island is very important to us, right? It is very close to, this big shipping routes near the Malacca Strait, right? If we build a big port, if we basically, work with the township and power plants, so India can become stronger in trade, defense and economy, right? So now what they did, they planned a mega project, right? Now this mega project is worth 80,000 to 90,000 crore, right? So this much, money it is going to hold, right? So now this is what government said. Now what environmentalist is saying. So this is the discussion between environmentalist and government. Now what are they saying? They are saying that this project will cut forest, right? It will harm wildlife also, and not only that, it is going to damage corals also, right? And the most important part that they're bringing up is that they are going to impact those tribal people also, right? So the question is where? The question is, the tribal people as well, right? So in this case, they went to the court, right? That is known as National Green Tribunal, that is NGT, right? So this was made for this purpose only, to basically solve all the issues of environmentalists, right? Now, let's understand that who exactly took this decision, right? On what basis they took this decision, why this decision is going to impact, or it will be like resourceful and useful for this project. Now, the decision was taken by National Green Tribunal, NGT, right? And just like normal courts handle crime, property, or family issues, what this NGT do? This NGT basically handles all the environmental issues, right? All the environment related cases, right? So this basically checks things like all the projects that will like harm forest, or will it pollute water or air, right? So will it damage animals or biodiversity? Will it affect local people or tribal communities, right? If the answer comes yes, in any project I'm talking about, if any project these things are going to be harmed, so what NGT will do? NGT will stop the project, or it will allow it with strict conditions, just like in Nicobar Island NGT did, right? So what is the job of NGT? They have to make sure that whatever project is basically, if it is coming under environment issue, then it should be like passed with NGT, right? So NGT is going to make sure that it is not harming environment, and if it is harming environment, what are the like sustainable approach that we can take, right? So this is the job that we have of NGT, right? Now, why was this NGT created if we already have courts, right? Why this separate thing? So before NGT, what was happening, environment cases, right? They took many years in normal courts, right? So this is why India created this NGT in 2010. इसलिए बनाया गया ताकि जो हमारे एनवायरनमेंट से जितने भी डिसीजंस होंगे वो जल्दी लिए जा सके, राइट? As we know that we are planning these projects with such big amounts, right? So decision should be quick. So to solve that, to basically help with it, this is why this NGT was created, right? Now before this, what was happening? They were like lots and lots of problems, right? Decision making was not fast, right? So this is why, to protect nature and environment, to maintain balance between development and environment, right? NGT is like India's special fast track court for environmental protection, right? Which checks whether development projects harm nature or not. So this is the job, this is the responsibility, this is basically the duty that NGT do, right? Now let's understand that in this case what exactly NGT decided. Now what happened? After studying reports, right, after clearance, after all the objections, right, NGT said that project already got environment clearance in 2021, right? Government has like promised safeguards for forest, wildlife and all the tribes, right? तो कोई strong legal reason है ही नहीं इस project को रोकने का. There is no strong reason to stop this project, right? So to this, NGT allowed the project to continue, but not like this. There are many strict conditions that NGT kept, right? So now we are going to understand that where is it and why it is important. So project is in Great Nicobar Island, right? And this is known as the last island of India in the sea, right? And उससे सबसे बड़ी बात ये कि ये close है हमारे important sea route पे, that is Malacca Strait, right? With many ships and it passes every day, right? तो समझ में आ चुका होगा कि ये route हमारे लिए इतना ज़्यादा important क्यों है, right? Now after this, what happens? We have to understand that why exactly this project is needed, what we are going to build there. So first of all, this is very important, right? So the government wants to build a big modern city like project, right? And it will have like 4 important roles, right? So first of all, big ship port will be there, right? Transshipment ports, right? Very big international ships will stop here, right? So goods will be like easy to ship from one ship to another, right? So this is the first reason, this is the first thing that this is important for. Now, what is the second thing? The second thing is international airport, right? So when we talk about international airport, it is important for public as well, and it is important for army as well, right? So planes for tourists will be also there, no, for normal people, right? And planes for army and defense will use it, right? So this airport is useful for tourism and for security reasons also, right? After this, power plant, the third thing. So big system, right, to produce electricity. It will give like power to the whole area and new city, right? After this, 4 important thing, that is new city, new township, right? So our new modern town will be built over there, right? So people will live, people will work, study, and business there. So now you can imagine, it's like creating another city, right? It's creating another place for humans to work, to explore, to grow more. So this is why it is important for us in development stage, very important. This is why NGT did not decide about this project just like that, right? This project holds a very great, not only in numbers, in economic growth we are talking about, but for people also, for daily life also, for that growth also. This is a very important. I hope it is understood. Now let's understand that why government wants this project. So first important thing is strategic location. Just like I told you, this location is a very close to Malacca Strait, right? One of the world's busiest shipping route I'm talking about, right? So India can finally monitor all the global trade routes, right? अपनी नेवी प्रेजेंस को इंक्रीज कर सकती है, इट कैन इंक्रीज नेवी प्रेजेंस आल्सो. चाइना को इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकती है, काउंटर इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकती है, right? After that, it is important for economic benefits also, है ना? How it is going to be important? Because this project supports us trade and logistics. It supports us in shipping benefits, right? Blue economy, right? That ocean-based economy I'm talking about, blue economy, right? So today, many Indian ships depend on foreign ports like Singapore, right? So this project will make India self-reliant. After this, government policy is connected. Very important. So this project supports Act East policy, right? That Sagar vision. What is Sagar vision? Sagar vision is security and growth for all in regions, right? After this, maritime India visions. So all these visions which are talking about the development, which is talking about growth of India, are coming under this only, right? So this is why it becomes another important project for us, right? Now, ma'am, if it is giving so many benefits and if it could be done and if it got like like acceptance of NGT also, then what is the problem? Why we are facing the problem? So sir, the problem is, first problem is environmental concern. What is environmental concern? So what is happening, right? Because this is a very sensitive and ecological area, right? So around 130 square kilometer forest will be cut and nearly 10 lakh trees will be affected, right? So this is why it is what it is, very important if we have environmental concern also, right? So this is a risk to what, coral reef also, to biodiversity also, and to coastal ecosystem as well, right? So this area is part of tropical rainforest and this is for marine ecosystem as well, right? So this is why it is important that we consider all these factors also, right? After this, one important thing, that this island is home to these 2 tribes. right? So we are, talking about people here, right? So this is why another important reason that we are, having this concern, right? So about 92% of island is of tribal reserves, right? So these tribals live in isolations, and exposures to outside diseases also the another reason that we have, right? So this tribal lives in like isolation, right? So there is a risk of, what, cultural disturbance also, land displacement also, and exposure to outside disease as well. So these are the risks that we have. I hope you understood that why we are so worried about it. Now let's understand historical background, right? That why we are giving so much importance to this development suddenly. एकदम से क्या हुआ है? जब ये island हमारे पास में पहले से था, if this island was existing from before, then why we suddenly started talking about this? So what happened after 1947? In 1947, independence we are talking about. So when India became free in 1947, right? So government had like many important problems, right? Many important problems like what? They, had to work with, partition violence. India and Pakistan was divided. There was poverty, there was like food problem shortages, right? Wars with neighbors was also going. So the government only focused on what? In defense and in security. Sorry. So what did they focus on? They focused on defense and security, right? So because of this, what happened? Because of this, remote areas like islands, border regions, right, they were ignored, right? In the last class only we covered about the last villages, right? How we are focusing on development here, right? So same as with this, the impact of not going with the development in 1947. I'm not saying that it wasn't necessary, it was necessary, but the thing is, everything have like consequences, everything we do have like impact. So this is the impact that we are facing, right? Now it's good that we are moving with development, it's good that we are working towards it, but these are the consequences, these are the things that we are going to face, that we are facing because of these things, right? So now what happened? you know we focused on defense and security, right? So this is why these types of like islands, these borders, these regions were ignored, right? So there was very, little development that you see, right, in Andaman and Nicobar islands, right? After this, the second point is, after the 1962 India China war was there, right? So this is the story of 1962 we all are talking about. So what happened in here? So basically, in 1962 war with China, India released something very important, right? Our border, right, and strategic areas were very, very weak, right? We were not prepared properly. So after this, what happened? After this, government started building roads, right, in, all the border areas. So army bases and, these airstrips were developed, right? Strategic planning for security increased, but still, what did we face? The same situation that we faced in 1947. This is faced over here also, right? So these places were mainly used for military purposes only. Civilian development, cities, jobs, ports, tourism, they were still very low, right? So we did not prioritize development here as well, right? So nothing, you know, changed from 1947 to 1962 situation, right? Now, after this, importance of island released place. Now, what happened? After many years, you know, finally, India understood a very, very important thing. What is important thing? That islands are not just land anymore, right? They are strategic assets. Why? Because they are close to international routes, right? Most of the world trade moves through the sea. So they are important for Navy and they are important for defense as well. So finally, this importance, this situation was basically analyzed, and this basically, it was understood, right? For example, the Andaman and Nicobar Island, they are very close to Malacca Strait, right? So this is the one of the busiest shipping routes in the world we are talking about, right? And almost 1/3 of the global trade passes from here, right? So if India is strong here, what will happen? India can monitor all the ship routes, right? It can, focus on the all trade routes, right? India becomes powerful in the Indo-Pacific regions, right? After this, the another important part is modern thinking of India, new strategy. Now, what changes we are bringing up? Now finally we realize that we have to focus on environment also, we have to focus on development also. There should be some sustainable approach, there should be some balance between these two, right? So in recent years, India basically changed its thinking, right? We are not only moving with defense like we were moving with these areas, right? But we are focusing on trade also, we are focusing on economy also, and we are focusing on defense as well, right? So these three things are basically what we are focusing on. I hope this is understood. Now, after this, government basically started focusing on Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right? We are not only focusing on these, we are focusing on Lakshadweep Island also. These coastal infrastructure we are looking at, ports and logistics we are looking at, right? So this is part of what? This is part of India's Indo-Pacific strategies, right? And Act East policies. So this is why it became very important to us that we should not only look at these defense, right? We have to focus on development as well, right? Now, the fifth important thing, the birth of Great Nicobar Mega Project, this project. So now India thought that why not use this land for trade, defense and development altogether, right? So the government planned a mega project, Great Nicobar Island, right? So finally, this project will, plan big international transshipment ports, right? Build airports, create modern cities, build power plants, right? So make India, global trade hub, right? So experts are saying that this project will help India reduce dependence on foreign ports, right? And increase India's role in global trade, right? So this is why another reason that we are working with it, working towards it. I hope it is understood. Now, strategically also, this is very important to us. This project is not just development, it is a strategic right? Master plan. Why this is so? Because at the same time, many people are worried, that this project is going to, give us, so many problems. But then again, it is, very important for us, right? This is not just development we are talking about. We are talking about strategic master plan here, because Great Nicobar is very close to Malacca Strait, right? Thousands of ships are going to pass there. It is going to improve naval power, compete with China in the Indian Ocean, increase exports and trades, right? So this is why government calls it a strategic and national importance project. Now, what are the concerns? The concerns are the same, right? Forests will be cut, wildlife, marine life will be affected, tribal communities like Chomping may be disturbed, right? Nicobar is very sensitive and ecological area. So these are the concerns, right? So what is the concern? The concern is with environment and development. I hope this is understood. Now, this is the one question that you have. Please write the answers. Please write the answers. What is the correct answer to this? Portal students, write in the chat box. What is the correct answer that we have? Yes, the correct answer that we have is A. Okay, now let's move to another news, that is BJP holds nationwide demonstration. Political parties denounce youth congress protest at AI summit. A very, very important. So what happened? India basically hosted a very big international technology event called the India AI Impact Summit 2026 in New Delhi, right? अभी हाल ही में हुआ है, गनगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी का मैंने एक न्यूज भी कवर किया इस चीज पर, राइट? नाउ देयर इज वन मोर प्रोटेस्ट दैट हैपेंड एंड नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू लिंक इट विद यूपीएससी कि क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है, राइट? So it was a very proud moment for us, right? Many global leaders were there, companies were there, right? New technologies were showcased. India wanted to, show leadership in artificial intelligence, right? So this was held at Bharat, Mandapam, and it was inaugurated by whom? It was inaugurated by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, right? तो ये सबको पता है कि एआई के लिए एक इवेंट चल रहा था, राइट? एंड इट वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस क्योंकि इंटरनेशनली, वी वर, covered because of it, right? But now suddenly what happened? Suddenly a protest happened. During this grand international event, some members of the Indian Youth Congress, they entered the venue and they started a shirtless protest. Exactly. shirtless protest. So they shouted slogans, they raised issues like unemployment among youth, problem of farmers, trade issues between India and the US, and policy, policy making, all the policy making that were, affecting farmers, right? So to this, what happened? Police quickly reacted to this, and they detained them. But now, okay, you might be thinking that, they were protesting. So protest is something, our right. So we should do that. What is the issue? The issue is that, when we are bringing such sensitive issues, first of all, see these sensitive issues like what? We are bringing farmer protest over here. We are bringing US tariffs issue over here. We are bringing such sensitive issue like unemployment, issues over here, right? So these are very, very sensitive things that we are, going through. If you are bringing it in such manner, in such way, सबसे पहले तो आप वो चीज खराब कर रहे हो, उन issues का मुद्दा खराब कर रहे हो, right? First of all this, then second thing, AI summit was done, for technology purpose, to show everyone, to show, worldly, to show internationally that we are also standing, when it comes to AI, है ना? तो इंटरनेशनली कहीं ना कहीं अपनी इमेज क्रिएट करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. So that was also impacted. So these are the two things that are impacted because of this protest. Whatever issues were brought over there, पहले तो वो खराब हुए और दूसरा हमारा AI समिट खराब हुआ इससे, right? So what happened because of this? After this protest, politics became, heated in India, right? अगर हम गवर्नमेंट साइड की बात करें, बीजेपी की बात करें, तो what did BJP said? Leaders of the ruling party, that is Bharatiya Janata Party, said that protest insulted India in front of the world. Why? Because we were representing AI, internationally, right? It damaged India's global image. It was planned political act, right? They even organized nationwide protests against Congress, right? So this was the side of BJP, right? To this, Narendra Modi also replied. That we'll discuss also. What did he say? Now, after this, what opposition did? Leaders of the Indian National Congress said that youth were raising real issues like jobs and farmers. ठीक है, protest करना हमारे हक की बात है, हमने वो protest करी, तो उसमें problem क्या है, right? Government did not include opposition leaders in the summit. ठीक है, उन्होंने defend करा, right? They defended the right to protest in democracy. But opposition leaders also admitted that the method of protest may not have been appropriate. उन्होंने खुद एडमिट करा है कि शायद वो इशू जो था हमारा गलत हो सकता है, लेकिन हमारे करने का तरीका गलत हो सकता है, but issues were not wrong, right? So this was what Congress said. Again, when it comes to things like these, when it comes to protests like these, you do not have to worry what Narendra Modi is thinking, what Rahul Gandhi is thinking. No, this is just the theory. This is just the situation that we are coming up with. But what is important for you, for UPSC students, you have to remember the articles. कि right to protest हमारे हक की बात है, right? And then you have to understand the why basically protest is important to us and in what manner we should do. So these is the important part that you have to consider while preparing for UPSC. इसके अलावा नरेंद्र मोदी क्या सोचते हैं, राहुल गांधी क्या सोचते हैं, वो अपने पर्सनल आइडियोलॉजी क्या रखते हैं, दैट यूपीएससी डजंट केयर एंड यू शुड आल्सो नॉट केयर. आई मीन यू शुड हैव व्यू पॉइंट, बट देन अगेन उनका व्यू पॉइंट के अलावा यूपीएससी क्या पूछ सकता है, दैट यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन. ठीक है, तो आई होप दोनों की साइड समझ में आ गई होगी क्या क्या बोल रहा है. नाउ, so what happened at the same time, while the protest incident was like happening in Delhi, Narendra Modi was giving a speech. ठीक है, वो अपनी एक स्पीच दे रहे थे, कहां पर दे रहे थे, एक बिग रैली में थे, मेरठ में थे, राइट? सो इन हिज स्पीच ही टॉक्ड अबाउट इंडियाज फास्ट डेवलपमेंट, राइट? ही टॉक्ड अबाउट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, राइट? और उन्होंने बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें करी, राइट? बिग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जैसे उन्होंने रोड्स को के बारे में बताया, पोर्ट्स के बारे में बताया, एयरपोर्ट्स के बारे में बताया, राइट? Now at the same time when he was talking about this, right, he also mentioned about the artificial intelligence, तो AI का भी उन्होंने जिक्र किया, राइट? उन्होंने यूथ एम्पावरमेंट की भी बात करी, राइट? तो एक साइड पर Modi, our basically prime minister, was talking about development, right, about all the things, right? AI के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, उसी दौरान पे उसी टाइम पर हमारे पास में प्रोटेस्ट भी चल रही है, right? So these two differences are also there, right? There protest is happening. We are basically discussing कि हमारे पास में एम्प्लॉयमेंट में नहीं है, हमारे पास में ग्रोथ नहीं है, फार्मर्स को प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही है, यूएस टैरिफ का डिस्कशन यहाँ पर हुआ, राइट? सो अपोजिशन का मैसेज यहाँ पर क्या है, दैट गवर्नमेंट इज इग्नोरिंग प्रॉब्लम्स. सो दिस इज क्रिएटिंग व्हाट, दिस इज क्रिएटिंग पॉलिटिकल कॉन्ट्रास्ट, right? So this is the issue that is coming up, right? अब इसी सिचुएशन में चलते हुए what did court do, what did police do? So according to the reports, Delhi police immediately detained, they caught the protester, right? FIR जो है, right, police case that is also filed with the charges like unlawful assembly, creating disturbances, assault in officials, right? So on the basis of this they issued the FIR. ठीक है, so Delhi court की अगर हम बात करें, they sent them to the judicial custody for further investigation, right? अब why this reaction is so strict, why we are talking about this in such manner, exactly problem क्या है. So because the protest happened during a global level event, ठीक है. अब यहाँ पर हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं फॉरेन डिबेट्स की इन ऐसे इवेंट्स पे, राइट. यहाँ पर फॉरेन डिबेट्स प्रेजेंट होती है जब हम ऐसे इश्यूज की बात करते हैं, राइट. सिक्योरिटी इज वेरी वेरी टाइट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सच इवेंट्स, which is inaugurated by whom? It is inaugurated by our prime minister, right. So the world media is watching. Government and police basically wanted to assure that no security risk happens, no embarrassment for the country should be there, स्मूथ कंडक्ट ऑफ द इवेंट शुड बी देयर, है ना. ये सारी चीजें ध्यान में रखते हुए इतना बड़ा इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज किया होगा, राइट. बट बिकॉज ऑफ द कंट्रोवर्सी एट द गलगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी एंड नाउ देन दिस प्रोटेस्ट हैपेंड, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड, द मेन पर्पस ऑफ द इवेंट क्या था? मेन पर्पस इवेंट का, हमारा मेन पर्पस था ग्लोबली इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट करना इन एआई, राइट. नाउ दिस motive is diverted, right. So the summit was planned to focus on AI development, on innovation, on youth opportunities, right. And a lot of money, lot of time, lot of resources is wasted because of this. Now what we are talking about, whenever this AI summit is going to come in our mind, what will focus on? Calcutta University and then this protest, right. Instead of talking about new ideas and technology, the attention shifted to what? Shifted to politics and to this protest, right. So this means the real goal of the AI summit was partially, we can say it is affected, right. And the benefit that students, experts in the country were supposed to get, right, it is going to become less visible. This is the reality of this AI summit, right. So kahin na kahin all the money, resources and time, somewhere it is wasted, right. Now after this, what is the issue, what is the thing that is coming in our mind? There is one important thing that is coming in our mind, two important clashes that are coming in mind, that is freedom of protest, right. In India, under Constitution of India, citizens have the right to protest. अभी मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बताया, मैंने तो हमारा हक है प्रोटेस्ट करने का, तो गलत क्या है इस चीज में, राइट. वी कैन स्पीक अगेंस्ट गवर्नमेंट, इफ नॉट ओपोज, देन दे विल नॉट बेसिकली थिंक अबाउट द चेंजेस, राइट. सो दिस इज व्हाट, दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, ठीक है. तो हम ऑब्वियसली हम तो करेंगे ना ये चीजें, गलत क्या है उसमें, राइट. सो दिस इज द क्लैश दैट वी हैव, राइट. नाउ after this we have national security and image. Now when we talk about national security and image, इसमें क्या क्या include कर रहे हैं हम? So we have to focus on government protecting security of events, right. Maintaining India's image in front of the world, right. Avoid chaos in international problems, right. So this should be our goal, right. पर कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारी image है, this security image, right, this is also affected because of it, right. So the question, the debate, the dilemma, the problem is between that how much protest is allowed, where should protest be done, when does protest become a security risk, right. So this is the debate of freedom of protest versus what? National dignity, right. So the AI summit, which was done for this purpose, so that we can represent ourselves globally, so that we can talk about this in a very brave and a good manner. Now the issue is diverted to what? To Galgotia University and to only one thing, that is this protest that happened, right. So now let's understand that when this protest, what kind of protest basically we did when it comes to India, what kind of protest we had, right. और इस protest में difference क्या है, and when it comes to UPSC क्या क्या चीजों को आपको focus करना है. Now if we go to the background, महात्मा गांधी ने भी प्रोटेस्ट करी थी, राइट. महात्मा गांधी also did protest, right. Freedom of struggle time we are talking about. So leaders like Mahatma Gandhi used peaceful protest, they used satyagraha, right. They worked with like civil disobedience, right, to fight British rule, right. Now he led these kind of protest. तो क्या हमारी इससे नेशनल इमेज खराब हुई थी? नहीं. बट आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस व्हाट हैपेंड? आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस आल्सो protest continued in democracy. There was JP movement, there was Anna Hazare anti-corruption movement, there is farmer protest, although farmer protest created a big issue, but then again वायलेंट थी वो एक टाइम के बाद. जब वो शुरुआत में आई तो थोड़ी ठीक थी, दैट वाज लाइक स्टेबल, राइट. स्टूडेंट प्रोटेस्ट भी हमारे यहाँ पर होती है, राइट. सो प्रोटेस्ट इज नॉर्मल पार्ट ऑफ इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी, राइट. बट देयर इज अ लीगल लिमिट टू दिस, right. What is the legal limit? India law says that you have to work with peaceful protest, only that is allowed. Violence and disruption is not allowed in this, right. High security zone protests are restricted, right. So police law says that unlawful assembly laws are there, security laws are there, special event protection laws are there, these rules are there. So these rules are made for this purpose only, ताकि अगर कोई AI summit जैसा कोई बड़ा इवेंट हो रहा हो तो वहां पर कोई इंक्लूड होके इतने सेंसिटिव इश्यूज फार्मर प्रोटेस्ट आपने उठाया, यूएस टैरिफ प्रोटेस्ट इश्यूज आपने उठाए, इतने सेंसिटिव इश्यूज आप इस जगह पर लेकर जा रहे हो, तो आप क्या कर रहे हो, आप बेसिकली उन इश्यूज की भी यू आर नॉट रिस्पेक्टिंग दोज इश्यूज एज वेल, राइट? सो दिस इज व्हाई आपने दो चीजें यहाँ पर खराब करी, राइट? अगर हम बात करें व्हाई दिस मैटर्स टू अस, दिस मैटर्स टू अस व्हाई, बिकॉज वी वांट टू बिकम, we want to become global leader, right? We want to put ourselves into tech power, AI, digital economy, right? Strong defense nation की तरफ हम लोग चल रहे हैं. We want to build ourselves into strong nation also, right? So government is, this is why, sensitive about global events, foreign delicacies, right, and international images also, right? So at one place what is happening, PM Modi was talking about development, and at the another place, oppositions workers were like protesting, right? So these two things were happening in here. एक तरफ में मोदी जी बोल रहे हैं कि youth development के बारे में, right? He is talking about AI also, he is talking about economy also, but on the other hand there are oppositions who are protesting, they are basically coming to AI summit shirtless, and they are basically raising these kinds of issues, right? So when it comes to protest, we should protest, right? As I said you, many thinkers says this, that criticism is very important, right? क्योंकि अगर we will not have this criticism, then development will not happen, these reforms will not happen, right? So we should definitely criticize, we should definitely protest, but when you are protesting, make sure that you are respecting those issues also, right? While going to that AI summit, you disrespected those issues like farmer protest, issues like these student youth, unemployment, you disrespected them, right? So this is the issue that we are talking about. Now let's come to another news. India studying US tariff moves, Commerce Ministry. Okay, very important news. So we have covered like plenty of like news when it comes to India and US. So we are going to see that what basically this minister, our Commerce Minister, is saying, right? What comment he made and why we are reading about this. ठीक है, सिर्फ उतने पोर्शन पे ध्यान देंगे कि उन्होंने बोला क्या है, राइट? अब थोड़ा सा एक बार बैकग्राउंड बता देती हूँ कि इंडिया और यूएस के बीच में टैरिफ वॉर वाज गोइंग ऑन, राइट? दोनों ही के बीच में क्या चलता, टैरिफ वॉर, राइट? सो इन दिस न्यूज वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट वन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, दैट इज कांग्रेस, ठीक है? उनका क्या रोल है, यूएस कांग्रेस का क्या रोल है? अब ये बेसिकली न्यूज किसके बारे में, दिस न्यूज इज बिटवीन टू थिंग्स, यूएस कांग्रेस एंड ट्रम्प, ठीक है? तो ट्रम्प ने एक स्टेटमेंट दी, राइट? नाउ टू दिस यूएस कांग्रेस बेसिकली सेड समथिंग, राइट? सो टू दिस वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, ठीक है? तो इंडिया और यूएस को थिंक लाइक टू शॉपकीपर्स हु ट्रेड गुड्स विद ईच अदर, राइट? सो वन डे यूएस सडनली comes up and he says that what, we will put extra tariffs on goods coming from India, right? So this made Indian goods what, it became more expensive in US market, right? So India was worried, India was basically thinking कि अगर हमारे वहाँ पे goods बहुत ज्यादा महंगे हो जाएंगे तो कोई खरीदेगा तो है ही नहीं, right? But now that something very big happened, US Supreme Court basically said that US is going to reduce its tariff, right? So now after this we are talking about US Congress, right? So what happened, US president cannot impose such tariffs without proper approval. This is said to us by whom, by US Supreme Court. अब यहाँ पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये बोला है कि अगर ट्रम्प ने कोई चीज बोल दी है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो चीज होने वाली है, right? So the earlier tariffs were what, they were cancelled, they were struck down, है ना, if you remember. But in the US president again announced, okay, then we will put our temporary import tariff, right? Important duties, right? That is 10% या फिर 15% on goods for some time, right? So now there is confusion. Are tariffs there? या फिर वो टेम्पररी में है, या फिर वो है ही नहीं, या फिर वो परमानेंट है? एग्जैक्टली सिचुएशन क्या है, दैट बेसिकली इंडिया इज ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट, राइट? सो व्हाट इज द न्यूज? द न्यूज इज दैट tariff basically was happening, right? Basically हमारा कितना था, 50%, right? So this what Trump said, that Trump said okay, we are going to reduce it to what, 18%, right? But now Supreme Court said कि ट्रम्प अकेले कुछ डिसाइड नहीं कर सकते हैं, ट्रम्प alone cannot decide about these tariffs, right? We are also part of this authority, right? We are also in power, so we are also going to decide कि tariffs लगेंगे या नहीं लगेंगे. So to this what did Supreme Court did? Supreme Court basically kept few percentage of tariffs, that is 10% to 15%, right? So now this is the situation that is going on. To this, what India is doing, India did not react immediately to this, right? Instead, our Commerce Ministry of India, right, he said that don't worry, we are like studying all the development carefully, because India has to like think, for important factors also, right? We have to think that if it will like hurt India exports also, will this affect jobs and industries, should India respond with its own tariffs or not, right? So India is carefully analyzing before taking any step, right? So you don't have to worry about this, right? This is what our Commerce minister have said. Now let's understand with history exactly what we are talking about, right? Now if we talk about history, so if we understand with global trade system, right, after World War II, what happened? After World War II, countries created a global trade system under World Trade Organization, right? एम क्या था? एम ये था टैरिफ्स को हम लोग रिड्यूस करेंगे, राइट? उसके साथ साथ में वी आर गोइंग टू वर्क विद फ्री ट्रेड promotion, right? But in reality, what happened? Countries still uses tariffs to protect their own economy, right? So this is the global trade we are talking about, right? To this, India US के अगर relations की बात करें, right? From 1991, if we're trying to understand, there was economic growth, liberalization we are talking about, right? So in 1991, India changed its economy policy and opened its economy to the world, right? So this is known as what? This is known as liberalization, right? After this, India started trading more with many countries, right? Including United States, right? So from here, India-US trade relations began to grow, right? Slowly and steadily, they started beginning to, see. Now in 2000, we are talking about this strategic trade partners, right? In the 2000, India and the US became an important economic partner, right? We finally cooperated with the IT, with basically technology, with the defense deals, with services, with environment, and we know with energy and businesses also, right? So both the countries saw each other as strategic partners, right? Now after this, we are talking about 2018 2019. ठीक है, यहाँ से basically we saw the problem, right? So this is the Trump era we are talking about, the conflict time we are talking about, right? So during the time of Donald Trump, what happened? Tension increased. What did the US do? US removed GSP, right? This generalized system of प्रेफरेंसेस, राइट? इसका मतलब क्या है कि इंडिया जो जो भी हमारे ड्यूटी फ्री एक्सेस था, राइट, उसको खो चुकी थी, राइट? जितने भी ड्यूटी फ्री एक्सेस था on many goods, right, it was like lost because of that, right? So US also imposed extra tariffs on like steel and aluminum, right? इसके साथ साथ में उन्होंने इन चीजों पर भी हमारा जो है टैक्स लगाना शुरू कर दिया, राइट? नाउ व्हाट डिड इंडिया डू टू दिस रिस्पॉन्स? उन्होंने वहां पे टैरिफ लगाया, इस पर इंडिया ने क्या किया? सो नाउ इंडिया आल्सो रिएक्टेड विद दिस, इंडिया इम्पोज्ड काउंटर टैरिफ्स, राइट? जितने भी यूएस के प्रोडक्ट थे उस पर काउंटर टैरिफ लगा दिया, मतलब पहले उन्होंने लगाया, बदले में हमने लगाया, राइट? सो इट बिकेम लाइक अ ट्रेड फाइट बिटवीन यूएस एंड इंडिया, right? Trade dispute हो गया between these two countries, right? So now this phase happened, this new phase we are talking about. So in recent year, tension again increased due to some new issues, ठीक है? The trade balance है, US ने बोला that India exports more goods to the US, but imports less to the US, right? So US feels there is unfair trade balance, ठीक है? कि एक्सपोर्ट तो इतना ज्यादा कर रही है और इम्पोर्ट कम कर रही है, हमसे कम ले रही है, राइट? तो इसी के चलते हुए बेसिकली उन्होंने ये डिसाइड किया, राइट? Now, after this, we are going to understand India buying Russian also. So, after the Russian-Ukraine war, India started buying what? Cheap oil from Russia, right? But the US and Western country were not happy with this, right? So, this created what? This created political and trade disputes, trade tensions, right? Now, अब लोगों को ये भी लग रहा है कि ये जो प्रॉब्लम चल रही है ना, this is happening because of that also. ठीक है, अब ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स सब मैंने पहले भी डिस्कस की हुई है, अभी की न्यूज में क्या बात हो रही है? सो व्हाट बेसिकली द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज टेलिंग टू अस, सो सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड, the US Supreme Court said that US president cannot decide imported taxes, ठीक है? वो अकेले डिसाइड नहीं कर सकते कि टैरिफ्स होगा या फिर नहीं होगा, राइट? वी आर आल्सो इन पावर, राइट? ही मस्ट टेक परमिशन फ्रॉम द US Congress, राइट? Because of this, the tariff made earlier during Donald Trump times are now being cancelled. For now, the US has put small temporary tariffs, right? 10% to 15% tariffs are going to be there, right? But these are going to be there only for like 150 days, ठीक है, 150 दिन की ये कहानी है, राइट? सो इन दीज 150 days what Congress will do? Congress said that we will discuss, we will decide that what the final tariff really should be, right? So this means what? That US big economic decisions like tariffs cannot be taken by one person, ठीक है? जैसे कि हालांकि में हर बार में डिसीजन मेकिंग जो होती है ट्रम्प की तरफ से आती है, right? But now this has been like said by Supreme Court that he alone cannot decide, right? So they must be like approved by the law making bodies, and who is the law making body? The Congress is there, the Supreme Court is there, right? So now there is this introduction of new tariffs, right? That is 10%, 50% only for 150 days, और इसी टाइम पे यूएस कांग्रेस डिसाइड करने वाली है that फाइनल पॉलिसी क्या होगी और क्या नहीं होगी, right? To this what did India do? India basically responded to this. Our minister, our basically commerce minister said that you do not worry about it, ठीक है? हम लोग जो भी डिसीजन लेंगे हम बेसिकली ये देख कर लेंगे कि वो हमें किस वे में इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है, राइट? और किस तरीके से हमें आगे चलने वाले टाइम पे बेसिकली फायदा देने वाला है, राइट? सो इंडिया इज एक्टिंग वेरी केयरफुली एंड डिप्लोमेटिकली टू दिस, राइट? नाउ आफ्टर दिस व्हाट इज द इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट वी हैव? सो टैरिफ्स डायरेक्टली अफेक्ट मेनी सेक्टर्स, राइट? कौन कौन से सेक्टर को अफेक्ट करता है? ये बेसिकली हमारे इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर को अफेक्ट करता है, स्टील, टेक्सटाइल्स, फार्मा, ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स, राइट? दिस इज अफेक्टिंग आवर एम्प्लॉयमेंट आल्सो, राइट? लेस एक्सपोर्ट्स means less production means less this job loss also, right? After this trade balance, if exports is reducing, right, so this is going to lead us towards what? Trade deficit is going to increase, right? Investment, foreign investments becomes cautious because of this, right? After this, the sixth pointer, that is bigger global trade issue. This is not just India US issue, this shows a global trend. How it is showing a global trend? Because there is a risk of protectionism, right? We are talking about trade, free trade system to be weakened, right? We are basically increasing use of tariff as political tools, right? This is creating what? This is creating the issue about trade war. This is creating about global slowdown, and there is disruption of supply chain as well, right? So these are the issues which this rivalry, which this dispute is creating to us, right? Now quality or law dimensions की अगर बात करें, so this case went to the court, right? And basically it came out कि कैसे decision लेना है, right? So even the US president is not above law. This is what we have understood by this thing, right? US Supreme Court ensures there is separation of power, there is distribution of power, right? Even the US president cannot take decisions all alone about tariffs, right? So there is a role of legislature we are talking about, right? We are talking about Congress here, right? Check on executive powers are there, right? So this is the we can say classic example of comparative quality questions that you have to understand. I hope you have understood this. Now, okay, what is the criticism? ये सारी कहानी तो समझ में आ गई. What exactly is the criticism? Why we are talking about this? ठीक है, अब कोई चीज अगर हुई है, पहले ट्रम्प ने कुछ बोल दिया, after this Supreme Court came, they said to us, India ने क्या रिस्पॉन्ड दिया, that we have understood. But there is lots and lots of things that are going like in everyone's mind. So what is the criticism, right? Supreme Court may have cancelled old tariffs, but the US still put new tariffs again, right? So we can say कि India is not in a big relief, ठीक है? कोई राहत वाली बात यहाँ पर नहीं है, right? US keeps changing its trade rules again and again, right? So this is why it is affecting Indian exporters. The stability that they wanted, the planning that they wanted, right? So this is why they are very uncertain and they are very confused because of it, right? Many Indian voices are saying that US talks about free trade, right? But reality में वो अपनी industries को पहले protect करने की बात करते हैं. They think about protecting their industries first, right? So they feel that US is using this trade as a pressure tool, ठीक है? ताकि इंडिया जो है रशिया से ऑयल लेना बंद कर दे. They are just creating this pressure. पहले हमारे पास ट्रम्प ने बेसिकली टैरिफ लगाया 50% का, आफ्टर दे रिड्यूस्ड इट, एंड नाउ कांग्रेस इज बेसिकली कमिंग आउट विद दिस 150 scheme. So this is nothing but this is building pressure on us. This is what people are talking about, right? So now some leader says that this shows the US system itself is unstable, right? क्योंकि पहले टैरिफ इंपोज कर दिए, फिर उसके बाद कोर्ट ने कैंसिल कर दिया, अब उसके बाद नए टैरिफ जो है हमारे पास में वापस आ चुके हैं, right? So this is showing what? This is showing instability in the US itself, in its courts itself, in its its power itself. right? So Indian exporters are like worried because their cost and profit, it keeps changing because of it. Up and down it हो रही है, right? ये यूएस की पॉलिसी जो बार बार चेंज हो रही है उसकी वजह से हमारे इंडियन जो लोग हैं, right, उनकी पॉलिसीज भी चेंज हो रही है, right? So some experts are talking, they are saying that India should not depend too much on the US market. If they are doing these kinds of tantrums, if they are like bringing up these tariff war, then what we should do, we should not rely on these like for one country only, right? We should spread our network, राइट? वी शुड ऑल्सो रिएक्ट स्ट्रांगली, राइट? हमें भी क्या करना चाहिए, ठीक है, हम इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज को हार्म नहीं करेंगे, बट हमें भी सिर्फ यूएस पर रिलाई होना बंद करना चाहिए, एंड वी शुड बिल्ड आर रिलेशंस विद अदर कंट्रीज आल्सो, राइट? व्हाई टू बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन वन कंट्री ओनली व्हेन वी हैव लाइक plenty of relations with other countries, right? So this should be the response that we think should go to the US, right? So इस चीज को एक पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट की तरह लेकर चलो, कंसीडर इट अ पॉजिटिव थिंग that they are doing these kinds of things again and again. So this should be like a lesson to us. एक पार्ट की तरह होना चाहिए कि हमें समझ में आ चुका है कि ये लोग कभी सुधरने वाले नहीं है, ट्रेड हमारा कभी ठीक नहीं होने वाला है. So like we should move out of it, right? So this is one question that you have. So you can write the answer in the chat box, right? So this is it for today. I'll see you tomorrow at the same timing. Thank you so much.